Welcome back then folks to the final build for today in Forza Horizon 5. If you haven't already, check out the ones which I did earlier on, and of course on various other days still to come, and that we've already done. Earlier today, the McLaren Senna, the Ford GT, now another fan favourite, a cover car for Forza in some cases, the 911 GT2 RS from the 2018 era in particular. This one, of course, speaking of the tune code, if you just want to get exactly what I've done, if you like the aero, if you don't want the wide body, if you essentially want it to look exactly like this and have the exact performance that I'm showing you here in the video, then all you need to do is type in the code 180829593 and that'll get it straight on the car for you. But if you do want to change a few things around, this is definitely one of those occasions where if you prefer to have maybe the standard engine or the wide body, then the video really will come in handy for you. So speaking of which, I tried two different versions of the build. I fully built the standard engine and then I fitted it with the Racing V12, and even though the standard engine does have more torque, the Racing V12 does have more power. So fully built 1191 compared to the standard engine is 1110. So 1110 versus 1191. So it's not a massive difference. If you do prefer that standard motor, you're not going to lose too much performance if you're a purist. But as always, it is about the best and the biggest and the most power that we go for with these builds. Likewise with the drivetrain, definitely not for purists on a GT2. Four-wheel drive, of course for the turbo, you want the twin setup on that one for aspiration. The wide body is a curious one on this car because it really does look crazy. I could understand wanting that, it's very Need for Speed Most Wanted-esque. And you don't drop too much performance actually, 267 with the body kit and then 269 without it. That's not much of a loss. So if you do prefer the wide body, you could absolutely go for that. That's why I said the video is for those who do want to make those kind of changes, whereas if you prefer it looking like this, the standard visuals, which I personally prefer, then that's where you could just, do what I've done or grab the build. As far as the aero, like I said, you don't really need to make any changes there. You've got different wings, etc. But I was kind of hoping you could delete the wing, because if you could on this car, it'd be ridiculously quick, given how quick it already is. As far as the tyres, of course, we've got the slicks on there, the widened tyres front and back as well, lightweight wheels, as you would assume. I always go for these ones, which is the Advans. They're pretty easy to go for, but as I've said before, there are a few different wheels which weigh about the same. There's the Dymags. I think some of the Wed Sport wheels might be about the same on weight as well, but you can see easily enough in the menu, it shows you if the wheel's lighter or not. I haven't changed the rim size, as I usually leave that standard anyway, unless it's like an old Lincoln Continental or something maybe. As far as the power adjustment, of course, just fit everything that gets you up to 1191 horses. As far as the brakes, etc., well, you actually can't change the brakes for this one. Likewise with the springs. Some people like to have the drift ones. You could do it, it does give you some green points in terms of improving things, but personally, I don't, I wouldn't say you need it. You can do plenty with the standard springs anyway. And as far as the weight loss, that is, of course, done. For the transmission on this one, we've got the 4-speed. I was curious about maybe using some more gears, a 6-speed maybe, and making use of that high-revving V12. Turns out you don't really need it. It has so much horsepower, the car is so lightweight, it does more than enough with a 4-speed. I've used this for racing, I've used it for just roaming around the map really quickly, and it's got a great balance even with the 4 gears to work with. The race driveline, of course, and as usual, the racing diff. So that's it for what I've done for, or what I've gone for even. Then if we jump into the tuning side of things, 2 seconds to 60, 3.5 or just under 3.6 to 100, and again that's not even on drag tyres, so you could slap those on if you just want straight line performance, and 269 on paper. In practice it can do 270, so it's pretty close. It's not quite as much quicker in practice as my builds usually are. They tend to be about 2 or 3 miles an hour quicker than what it says, but yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty close. Certainly for a 911 it's like hypercar level performance. As far as the gearing, 3.45, 2.85, 1.9, 1.36 and 0.95. For the alignment, 3 and 1.5. A little bit toe in on the front, 0.5 in, none on the back, 6 degrees of caster. As far as anti-roll, 35 and 25. Springs, 85, 135 and the lowest ride height. As far as the dampers, 9, 13, 6 and 9. Aero, you definitely want as low as possible. You could make the argument that maybe having the racing front wing, you could just lower that. I mean, go for it if you want to. I wouldn't say it's really worth the time of doing that. As far as the brakes, like I've said before, you can adjust it in terms of bias if you want to. I never really bother. And as far as the diff, 30% for the front, 70% for the rear, and as usual, a 70% split. Like I always say though, if you do want it to be even more loose on the front end and a bit more tail happy, try 75 or 80%, and if you find it to be too tail happy, drop it down to about a 60 or a 65, and that'll make it handle more like, Audi TT. that kind of grip level. So that's it for the build. If you decide to just download it quick or follow this and make some alterations yourself, either way, let's jump out to the road so that I can show you what this beast can do in practice. Now, like I said, the great thing about a 911 is it's always ready to go. No matter what version you've got, if you start doing stuff to it, it is going to be a monster in terms of performance. And again, that's one of the reasons why I chose this to be a relatively early on build for the PS5 version of the game. I feel like, again, for a lot of Gran Turismo players, you're probably going to be really eagle-eyed, zoning in on cars like this because we don't have them in Gran Turismo and you really want to try it out. If you do want to do that, it's already a great car. And if you do even more to it, like I have here, it becomes almost an all-conquering monster in terms of just how good it is across the board. Plus, it's a bit narrower and more compact than a lot of modern supercars and hypercars, even than the newer 911 really. And that can come in handy when you're street racing, weaving through traffic, and you can feel the difference. So if you decide to use the build or any of my builds, I hope you enjoy them. Of course, there will be plenty more still to come, so follow the channel for that. Definitely follow my storefront in the game, as a few thousand people already are. And there are already hundreds upon hundreds of builds in Forza ready to go from the Xbox days, which also work on the PS5. So check out those ones. I'll see you in future, and thanks for watching.